Can you tell us a little bit about SermonView and the kind of services that your company offer?
Yeah, SermonView is a digital evangelism and a community connection organization. So we help churches, particularly with event marketing. So if a church is doing a prophecy seminar or a parenting seminar or archaeology, creation seminar, anything that they're doing where they want to invite the community through the doors of their church or to an event, we can help them get more people. Here in the United States, we use direct mail. But we also use digital advertising on social media, on YouTube, and then banners and road signs. Those are kind of the four legs to the marketing stool that we use. But we're moving increasingly into digital media, into digital marketing. And so we've been doing social media advertising, a lot more of that. We've also been working with pastors to create a online presence with short form videos, helping them to become social media influencers for Christ in their sphere of influence.
Great. Can you tell us how digital lead generation has been effective for some of the churches that you've worked with?
Yeah, absolutely. We just talked with a pastor a few hours away, and so we have a program called Lead Generator. And this is a program where we use social media advertising to find people who want to study the Bible in the geographic area around a local church. We then provide, when someone responds, we provide the contact information to the church, and then they're off to the races. They follow up, they send text messages, they email, and eventually, hopefully, go to the door, drop off a gift, some Bible study guides, and then begin an in-person engagement with them. And we have a church, like I said, a couple hours, 3 hours from here, that we've been working with for the last year. And he mobilized his members for this, and so he's doing the largest campaign that we offer, which guarantees 15 leads every month here in the U.S. with the work that we do. He has seen a change in his church culture as he's had a dozen different volunteers going out and meeting with people and beginning to give Bible studies. He said just the Lead Generator program alone has been a significant impact in shifting the culture of the church from one that's inward looking to one that's looking out into the community.
Fantastic. Now, you've used the term lead generation. Some of our listeners don't really understand or know what that means, what that looks like. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So in the business world, I have an MBA. I've worked in commercial enterprises prior to getting into this ministry. In the commercial world, businesses are looking for leads. And so there's things that businesses do to generate leads. And so that practice is called lead generation. And we kind of adopted that language here in the church environment. So Bible study lead generation simply means that we're actively using marketing practices to go find people who want to study the Bible in that church's community, and then passing the lead or the interest on to the church who then follows up. So that's what lead generation is.
Now, that sounds very corporate business-like. Why is it important for churches to be in the online space, to use these sort of business or marketing approaches?
Yeah. Well, to use this, it's not a business how effective it is. But if you look at Scripture mandates us to get out of our building, get out from ourselves. And really what we're talking about is digital mission and becoming digital missionaries and using tools to go out and finding people where they are and then inviting them to engage with you. So yeah, it's used in a corporate environment for sure, but the principles, the psychological principles, can be found in the book of Proverbs. They can be found in the New Testament. It's biblically based what we're doing.
Fantastic. Now, churches do all sorts of different types of evangelism. Why is it so important for them to be involved on social media, to be online?
Oh, goodness. Here's the thing. You want to be where the people are. I just saw a stat here in the United States. 47% of the average American's waking hours are spent in the digital space. And that could be on a Zoom call, that could be doing a Google search, that could be browsing on Instagram or on TikTok. But people are spending almost half of their waking hours are spent in the digital space. And it's crucial that we be where people are. And particularly younger generations, which I want to talk about in a minute, but particularly younger generations, these digital natives, this is how they live. This is where they're at. And if we're not there, then we're missing opportunities to connect with them.
Fantastic. You're going to talk about young people. Can you unpack that a little bit more?
Yeah. I want to talk about a psychological principle. There's something called a parasocial relationship. This was first identified back in the 1950s by a couple of psychologists, just as television was becoming the dominant medium in societies around the world. A parasocial relationship is a one-sided relationship that somebody feels they have with a personality in the media. So they were researching like late night hosts and newscasters back then. But there's a ton of academic research that just kind of came to the fore as social media influencers began rising over the last 10, 15 years. And here's the thing. This parasocial relationship is one-sided, it's non-reciprocated, where someone knows this person in the media, but the person in the media doesn't know that person. I want to talk, just to give you an example, my son a couple of years ago, when he was 13, he was really into Minecraft. And he would watch YouTubers playing Minecraft. I want to talk himself on another screen. Well, one of these Minecraft YouTubers that he followed was a guy named Technoblade. And Technoblade was early 20s. And he ended up getting cancer. And word got out in the community that he had been posting like 3 or 4 times a week, and then he just kind of dropped off the map. And word got out that he had cancer. And after 6 months, he passed away. And my son, the day that he died, my son came running into my bedroom, just crying, "Dad, Technoblade died." And I spent the afternoon consoling him. And tons of Minecraft players all over the world put up the Technoblade icon, the Pig King icon on their social media to celebrate his. So what's going on? This guy, Technoblade, didn't know who my son was. My son had never met Technoblade. And yet here's my son weeping with sadness because this hero had passed away. And it's because of the power of parasocial relationships. And the psychologists have found that the emotional impact of a parasocial relationship is very similar to the impact of a face-to-face social encounter. And with the rise of social anxiety, particularly among Gen Z and younger millennials, these people lean into parasocial relationships because they feel like they're getting the benefits of a relationship without having to put themselves out there. So the anxiety is keeping them from revealing much about themselves, but then they have this, they feel like they have a relationship with this social media influencer. And there was one study, 70% of the most significant relationships that Gen Z people have, on average, 70% of the most significant relationships are parasocial for these young people. Now, I don't want to get into whether that's good. I think that there's some real problems with that. And there's research that shows that having an excessive amount of parasocial relationships actually leads to social anxiety, which then leads to more parasocial. So it can be this downward spiral, and it's a real problem. But the fact is that young people are embracing parasocial relationships, and they're going to be building parasocial relationships no matter what we do. We can say it's a bad thing, we can decry it, but they're going to do this. And so in my mind, we have to be there as well. And this is where the idea of a digital missionary, where you're putting out social videos on a regular basis and building your own following so that people can build parasocial relationships with you. If they're going to build a parasocial relationship with someone, I'd rather it be with someone who has their best interest at heart, that is not going to try to monetize this relationship and sell merch and ask for donations through Patreon and sell sponsorships and this type of thing. I'd rather these relationships be built with pastors and church leaders who care about them and who are interested in their eternal salvation and in their spiritual growth here in this world. So parasocial relationships are crucial, and understanding this idea leads to my belief that almost every pastor needs to be spending time online on a regular basis, posting videos on a regular basis. And this is actually what I'm studying. I'm in a PhD program right now, working on my dissertation right now, studying how pastors use parasocial relationships for evangelism. I just believe that pastors need to be doing this. And look, pastors are content producers anyway. Every week, they're taking time to write a sermon. They're doing the exegesis. They're praying. They're taking the ancient scripture and applying it to contemporary life today. And then they're preaching it in an environment, and maybe it's being live streamed, but it's kind of a one thing, and now it's out there, and you're done. You need to be taking the nuggets from that sermon, because you put all this effort into it. A pastor should be taking the nuggets from that sermon and creating 1 or 2 or 3 videos every week from the sermon content. And if you put 10 hours into sermon prep, I mean, literally in an extra hour, and you have content that's going out around the world, and then it gives young people an opportunity to build a parasocial relationship with you.
Wow, that's powerful, Larry. Powerful and inspiring. I understand what you're talking about, but I've never heard it explained that way, and not with that terminology. So really good. Now, you've touched on pastors and some church leaders. What about the average member who isn't going to be communicating? How can we involve more of our members in these sort of ministries? Any ideas, insights, tips?
Yeah, so if you're not going to be creating your own content, the most important thing that you can do is find content creators or pastors who have content that you appreciate, that you think needs to be out there more. And the most important thing that you can do is subscribe, follow, and then anytime content gets put out there, like it, share it, comment on it, because the algorithm will recognize that as someone who's following this person that finds this piece of content interesting. And the more people that do that, so let's say that there's, a small church, 50 members in a church. If half of you actually do this, and the pastor's putting out 1 or 2 or 3 videos every week, and half of the members are actually engaging with that content, the algorithm is going to be pushing that out to a wider audience. And the wider the audience, and with quality content, it has the potential to what we would call go viral, right? Which just means that this piece of content got spread a little bit more far and wide than it typically would. But the most important thing that the average member can do is follow Christian content creators who have content that they believe in, that they support. Follow, and then follow every social media channel. Follow them on YouTube, follow them on TikTok, follow on Facebook and Instagram. And then anytime something comes out, like it, comment, share it. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is to interact with people that are interacting with this content. So if you see, and so I want to be very careful here, because in my ministry, when we're putting out advertising for like a prophecy seminar, for example, someone might make a negative comment, and then bless her heart, little old Ethel gets on there and starts arguing with this person. That's not what you want to be doing. It's not about arguing. It's not about flaming. It's about offering support and cheering for these people. And so if somebody leaves a comment on this content, then replying to them, if someone, people will pour out their heart in social media comments in ways that they never would face to face. And just to be able to say, hey, I'm praying for you. I'm so excited about this opportunity that you're talking about, or I'm so sorry that you experienced that. Just know that I'm lifting you up in prayer. So engaging with other people's content is a huge ministry in and of itself.
That's really helpful, Larry. There are some pastors, churches who will probably be reluctant. They haven't done this before. They're a bit hesitant. What would you say to them as they're wrestling with whether to jump into social media or not?
Yeah, so I want to talk to pastors specifically because I have a heart for pastors. I love pastors. I've given my time, talents, and treasure what little I have toward supporting the local church and the pastors who lead them. And here's something that I've learned over the years about pastors, that they have an affirmation deficit, that they get criticized more than they get affirmed. And we know that psychologically, you need about 10 affirmations to overcome a harsh criticism, whereas a lot of pastors, that ratio is exactly reversed. And the way that a lot of pastors respond to this criticism is they lean into something that they know that they're good at. So if somebody's a good preacher, then they're spending more time in sermon preparation and preaching. And if they're good at interacting with people in the community, they're spending more time in the community. So they lean into what they feel like they're good at. And here's what I know. When I am asking a pastor to start recording videos, just selfie style videos using your phone, they're not going to be good at it. They're going to be, just flat out, they're going to be bad at it, because this is a new skill. It requires practice. It requires just repetitions of doing it. And the problem is, the video that you see is going to be bad, and you have visual evidence of how bad you are, and you're going to be your own worst critic, and you're going to go, man, there's no way I should do this. And pastors that have started doing this, they've heard criticism from other pastors. Why do you think you're doing that? You think you're so good being on social media? No, everybody should be doing this. This isn't one person or another person. So for a pastor that wants to get started with this, do it. Record a video every day. Watch other social media influencers, especially pastors, what they're doing with the selfie style video where you're looking into the camera and you're talking to the people on the other side of the camera. Watch how they're doing it, and then just emulate it. But repetitions. So SermonView, we've developed a coaching program specifically for pastors called Real Faith. We have a boot camp that's 6 weeks long where a pastor can come in, and we have video professionals that does a hour-long session initially, and then there's a weekly coaching session where they review the video together each week, but it's this repetition where you're doing it every single week. And we actually have an online course on how to record selfie style videos that's going to be launching here in the next few weeks on our Real Faith website. But the most important thing is do it. Yeah. Just do it, and then do it again and do it again. And in terms of building a social media following, the most important thing that you can do is pick a cadence at least once a week and be consistent. No weeks off. Every single week posting something. And over time, that's just gonna grow.